Hey, Iden Hansen here, TX Hog Dude. If you want to follow me on Instagram, guess what I got? Is that arrow a little bit longer? I got the Umarex AirSaber. This thing is built for hunting. I'm fired up. It's got a 3,600 pound tank for a reservoir on there, shoots 30 shots. It comes with 3 arrows, 350 grain arrows. All you have to do, go buy your broadheads, put them on there. It's good to go. On top of that, it comes with a scope. Mount your scope, load your tank up there, refill your tank, get that thing ready to go, slide the arrow down the end, and you're ready to fire off with this thing. It's a 4x32 Axion scope. The fit and feel on this thing is absolutely amazing. This is just at first glance. I'm excited to shoot it, so let's go shoot this thing. It's getting hot. I wouldn't call it hot, but it ain't cold. All right, so my favorite part, sitting at the range. Let's start with, just break down all the features on this gun here. We're gonna start again, butt to muzzle, and start out with this. Overall, it's got like a pistol grip stock here, but if you look from this end of it here, there's a little connector piece that goes in there. It feels like a little bit better stability. I can rest my hand against it. The stock feels a little bit thin, and it feels great. Everything, you know, I don't like my stocks bolty. This thing actually snugs up perfect. It's got a nice padded buttstock on the end. You won't need it, I promise you that. Nice, you see this chrome bolt that you have here? You rotate this up, pull it back, it'll actually charge it. And then on top of that, you got a 4x32 Axion scope. Comes with the gun. All you have to do is mount it up. My recommendation when you mount this thing up is put it a little bit further back on the rail, because the gun's not gonna scope you. Put it a little bit further back on the rail, you go from there. Trigger feels really nice, at least the texture and the touch on it does. It should be good to go. On the bottom down here, you have your gauge, and your gauge shows you how much air you actually have in it. And moving on up forward here, you can mount up Picatinny rails. It actually comes on that, and then you can, if you want to, I got a quiver attachment attached to mine, so I can actually attach my quiver while I'm out hunting. I don't have to carry anything on my back. It protects my broadheads. It does everything for me. On top of that, this whole chamber here is where the arrow slides down into it, and it protects the air tube that's inside the center. So you're probably wondering at this point here, how do I charge this thing up? Because you don't see any Foster fittings or anything like that. So what they actually send you is they send you a little kit that has O-rings. You got some O-rings, and then on top of that, you also have a Foster fitting connector in there with a probe that actually goes into it. So all I have to do on my little tank here is take this connector, plug it right into the end, it locks into place, and I thought this was gonna be a little bit harder. I'll rotate that over, and all you have to do is slide it down until it locks into place. Once you it locks into place, you can feel it kind of smooth out, and then all I do is turn the handle here, and I'll go ahead and charge it up. I've already got a full charge in this thing. It's sitting at 3,600 pounds right now, so I'm good to go. I won't need that, but we'll charge it up here in a little bit. But that's all I gotta do is charge it, bleed off my air. At that point, pull the probe back out, and I'm good to go. So once I do that, the best part about this thing is these arrows, I don't even know how to describe the quality in these arrows. They are, I mean, they feel robust. They're kind of thick. They feel absolutely amazing. And if you look at the fletching on them, it's real sleek. So these babies are gonna rip. So all I do is line it up from here, slide it right down the end, feel that little click that goes into the end of the, once it gets all the way over the end of the air tube, it clicks into place so it holds it. If I'm up in a tree stand and I'm aiming down, it's not gonna fall out. That's another thing that I like. On top of that, the next thing I have to do is go ahead and charge this thing and send it on its way. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and set up the range down here. I'll set up 25, 50, and then out there at 100. And let's see what we can put this thing through its paces and see how far we can actually shoot it, what the accuracy looks like. Okay, one thing, I'm ready to shoot this thing, but one thing I wanted to point out was the safety. The safety is actually on the trigger. So you look at the silver part right here, at the very top of the trigger, inside the trigger well, right there is where the safety button is. I push it to the right, that baby's ready to fire, you're good to go. You want to put it on safe, you just push it from the other side, it puts it back in the safe position. So let me charge this thing, pull it back, a little more pressure in the spring here. Take it off of safety and let's try it at 25 yards. I love it. That thing's got some speed. I can feel a little bit more push on this thing here, but we're pushing 350 grains, so why wouldn't it? All right, let me safe this up and we'll go down and check the target. All right, we're out at 50 yards here. Next one's my favorite, hogs. Let's go ahead and load up another arrow. All right, this thing's good to go. All right, safety's in the on position. Go ahead and charge it. So we're out at about 50 yards here. I'm gonna hold dead on, same as what I was shooting at 25, and we'll see how this hits. Let's go check it out. Put the gun back on safe. All right, let's go take a look. Ooh. Holy smokes. Whew. All right, we got a dead pig. I like that. So now what we're gonna do is push out to the whitetail. He's out there at distance. Inside the scope, I have some lines inside there that actually I can use to make my adjustments. At 50 yards, that thing was exactly where I aimed and put it. So we'll see out at 100 yards here. I'm actually gonna probably hold over a little bit on out at 100 yards just to make sure. We do have a little bit of wind today, so there might be a little bit of drift. We'll see. Click. Check my air. We're looking good. Thing hardly uses any air. I guess if you're getting 30 shots out of it, that's freaking awesome. All right. All right, so we're wrapping up the day here. It's starting to get a little bit chilly, almost time to head home. So just out shooting the gun. My very first thoughts of this thing, if I look at the fit and finish on it, absolutely amazing. The slim line to it, it's not a beefy or fat gun. It just feels absolutely amazing when you're holding it. Very, very, very natural. I like that. And the balance on it, it's balanced very, very well. On top of that, I think the overall design, it doesn't feel bulky up in here. The charging system, you do get a probe. It slides right in real easy. There's no crazy connectors or anything like that. Slides right in, charges right up. When you start talking about speed on this thing will go 460, feet per second. That's on the high end, and 470, somewhere in that area. But if you guys are running it that's at the max pressure. So if you're shooting your 100-yard shots, you want to make sure that you're at your 3625 running at 3600 psi, and then do your 100-yard shots at that. For sighting in the gun for accuracy purposes, what I would do is I would actually sight it in at 25, make sure you're on, because you're gonna pump through some of these if you're out shooting in the woods. Make sure you have a good backstop, maybe have some hay bales or something back there. But I would sight it in probably at 50 yards, if that's what you're using for the hunting distance. And then you can hold under at 25, and then you'll have to hold a little bit when you get out there at 100 yards. It has no problem. It definitely groups. That's one of the things it does. If I make a mistake, then that's usually where the error is. It's errors on me. For the sound, I guess if I have to place the sound in something there, it's not as loud as a big bore. It's actually pretty quiet, but the shroud kind of takes a lot of that sound down a little bit, but it's not as loud as a big bore. It's a little bit louder than most of your like 25 caliber PCPs. If you want to compare it to anything that's out there on the market right now, it's great. In the scope, there is some things here. Just kind of finish it up when you mount the scope up. You can put it forward or backwards. Once you get the scope mounted, you do have some bars in there that you can line things up. You're gonna have to figure out how that works for you, depending on where you sight it in. If you sight it in at 25 yards, there's gonna be a holdover. If you're going out at 50 yards, at 75 and 100. You just have to have your good dope, and after that, I have no problem with this thing. It's gonna be a lethal gun. Umarex AirSaber. It's really amazing, honestly. And with that, you guys have fun slinging lead.